Guys, this demo's extremely well. It's super impressive. We're really fired up about him. Greg, why don't you do a couple of quick introductions and dive right in, man? It's great to have you. Welcome.
You got it. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Bob. And hello to everyone joining us today. I'll get right into some introductions in a second, and we'll take you through just a couple of slides. Like Andrew had mentioned, I'm not a heavy slide guy. So for me, it's more about how can we talk through and demonstrate to you the value that we bring to customer experience. And it's been great partnering with CX Effect, even though we've only been with them officially for a short time. We're looking forward to a great partnership together as Glia continues to grow and expand its business. I'm joined by a couple people, and I'll get to an introduction slide in a second. But I want to first start with, and again, for everyone on the phone, right, I've got a half an hour, 35 minutes. Let's make this as a two-way dialogue as possible. If you have questions as we go through any of the presentation or the demonstration today, throw something at me, interrupt me. You're not going to offend me if you cut me off. This should be a two-way dialogue. So I think that's a good way to set the stage. So Glia's company mission and what we set out to do is redefine how companies interact with customers. And you're going to see that, right? That's going to be the underpinnings of the theme for today, is to help you understand Glia's approach to customer experience is, in my opinion, dramatically different than what we've historically seen. And I say that as someone who's been in the contact center space for 20, 25 years. I used to work for NICE in Contact. And there was a really intriguing thing that brought me to Glia 2.5, right, almost 3 years ago. And I think everyone's going to see that as I go through this today. And it really is about redefining how companies interact with customers. And I'm going to demonstrate the pain. I'm going to show you the solution that Glia brings to market. And let's just have a good time with it. A little bit about Glia, right? So this will give you some of the metrics around the organization, which I think are very important, right? We've got over 400 customers right now. We're adding about 5 net new customers per week. We're still in our series fundraising. Our last raise was mid last year and put us about that unicorn status of $1 billion valuation. One thing I'll note on the investment side is Don Brown was one of the original investors in Glia. And we've got an interesting quote from him when he said, and for you those don't know him, right, he was the founder of Interactive Intelligence. He said that if he was to build Interactive Intelligence again today, he would have taken the approach that Glia has taken, right? So it's a real testament to we're doing something different in the space, and it's really evolving and starting to trend towards where we see customer experience headed. Great net promoter score, great net retention, a lot of expansion and new growth in existing accounts through new use cases, new lines of business, et cetera. And we continue to grow our team, right? Over 400 employees, expect to be about 500 by the end of the year. While a lot of companies have either paused or had downturns in their hiring, we've actually continued to grow and ramp that. Great gross retention, right? A really fantastic culture. One of the things I was looking for in any new company that I went to when Glia recruited me was, how are you culturally? What is the fit like? And how do you treat your people? I think it's so critical and so important. Joining a company mid-pandemic wasn't easy, but culturally and the way we approach everything we do really enticed me. You can see on the right-hand side, right, all the components that Glia offers. We are a digital-first CCaaS solution. I think everyone on this call, right, has an understanding of contact center, of CCaaS. We've heard that buzzword for, right, the better part of 15 years. You had your legacy on-prem and it went to CCaaS, right? But Glia is forging ahead with where we see customer experience moving, which is digital-first CCaaS. That will be the underpinning of what we talk about today and what I show you. I'm joined today by 2 of my colleagues. So myself on the left, I run our global ISV partnership program. I've taken on the charter of building up our TSD program, and CX Effect is the first supplier that we're working with, or the first TSD that we're working with. And in addition to our program to support this effort, I also run our ecosystem partner program, looking for complementary solutions that help round out the Glia portfolio. So a number of different hats, but super excited about this charter and where we see this going. Matt Metzger, who's on with us, is RVP of Sales. He's got a fantastic background. I can't say enough about Matt and his experience in the space his experience working with contact centers, working in the CX space has been instrumental to Glia's continued growth. His team is constantly exceeding their targets on a quarterly and annual basis, and he's going to be a great resource. I fought tooth and nail to get Matt aligned to me and this initiative so we can work this together. And then I've got Muktesh Saraf, who's on with us as well. He is our senior solutions architect supporting the channel. So anything technical, I go to the smart guy in the room, and that's Muktesh. So these are just your main faces from Glia that are going to be supporting this partnership and all opportunities as we work to get them into the appropriate hands of account executives within Glia. So we've got a large team behind the folks that you see here, but these will be your main points of contact. All right, so a little bit more about Glia, right? Lots of innovation, awards, recognition, and there's the theme here. The reason I want to show this, and the reason I'll show the next slide, is there's something a little bit nuanced about Glia, which is going to be unique in the fact that we focus strictly on financial services. You'll notice these awards are Finovate shows, right? CUNA for credit unions. We've got great industry recognition. We've got a lot of on-screen patents and different patent components. And when I look at our select Glia slide, right, the clients, some of the clients that we have, you should recognize a lot of these names. We can ignore Kohler down there at the bottom. That was an old customer acquisition who's still with us. But if you look at every single one of these clients that I've got listed here, and I've got client slides I could send you with hundreds of logos on them. But the reality is, while Glia is a horizontal platform, we can service any vertical. We made a decision about 5.5, 6 years ago to specialize and target the financial services vertical. Banks, credit unions, diversified financial institutions, insurance, right? Anything in the FI space is where we target. We've built our messaging, we formulate strategic partnerships, integrations, right? Our sales process, our use cases, everything we do is really tailored towards the financial services vertical. And that's the vertical where we see the biggest impact, right? Working with someone like CX Effect. And right, for those of you out there thinking about accounts that you're working, opportunities that you have, right? What your customers are looking for, the target for Glia is in that financial services vertical. If you brought me something in healthcare, while I would love it, and I would say this is fantastic, you just brought me into Blue Shield for their healthcare division, right? We would have to take a serious look at that opportunity because it's outside of FI, and it's one that our team is not necessarily well versed to sell into that particular use case or that particular vertical. As we continue to grow, we have organizational and board approval on numbers of where we want to hit and where we want to be before we start expanding into other verticals. So Glia is going to be your go-to CCaaS solution for the financial services vertical. Okay, it's a little bit different than what you hear from other suppliers, right? Other folks in the CCaaS space, right? They're going after everything. But I think over the next few years, you're going to start to see a trend leaning more towards verticalization. And Glia has been doing that for the better part of, 6 years now. So, okay, I'll pause there for any questions so far. Outstanding. I hear silence. I just keep going. That's from my old training and development days. So if we get silence, I'm just going to keep moving on. Let's talk about the interaction platform. This will be the last slide I show you, and then we'll jump into a demonstration. Think about your interaction starting points. Look at the top. Take your eyes to that light pink bar at the top, or light purple bar. The interaction starting points where Glia integrates and where customers are generally entering into engagements are either through a public website, through an online banking portal, through a mobile banking portal. Everyone right now, if I asked you to pick up your phone and open up your mobile banking app, I think everyone could do it. I've got Westcom Credit Union, you've got Bank of America, you've got Wells Fargo, right? You go and do online banking, you do mobile banking. We're doing these things on a continual basis, and we're doing them in a digital fashion. But the mechanism for engaging is often broken, right? How do I seamlessly bridge the journey from my online digital experience to really getting support and assistance that I need? It could be account opening, it could be through dialed or SMS or traditional, if anyone still picks up the phone these days and makes a call, loan origination platform. So everything really is tailored towards what is that interaction starting point, and then how do we service those customers, right, from there on. We have a Glia call center offering, which is your traditional contact center, right? That's your phone first engagement. We see that engagement starting point trending down, right? We see digital customer service trending up. And then we have Glia Automation through an acquisition of a company we made last year that brought a robust set of what we call our Glia virtual assistants to the table, and has been something that's been well received by all of our customers and prospects. Glia is truly a channelless architecture. You're going to see this in the demonstration. But think of Glia as, right, we can be a complete contact center with your digital first engagement and fully embedded with automation. Okay, let's get into the demo because that's the fun part. For the demonstration, I'm going to need a volunteer. So who's going to volunteer to be the customer in my scenario? This is a two-way street. This is not just me doing a video or a one-way demo. So I need one volunteer. I don't care who it is. All you have to have is a cell phone available, and then I'm going to give you some instruction to demonstrate and be my team player. Who wants to do it?
I can do it.
And who is that?
Hey, this is Pete Meinig.
Hey, Peter, how are you?
I'm well. Matt, good to see you again. You and I spoke about 2.5 years ago. You guys are trying to recruit me.
I love that when we can see old people, right? Old connections reconnecting. That's fantastic. All right, Pete. So we'll grab your cell phone, and I want you to open up a web browser on your phone, and I want you to go to a website, glia.com/demo. I typed it up here in the URL on the screen that I'm sharing, glia.com/demo. Once you get there, give me a heads up or let me know, and then I'm going to talk us through a few things, and then I'll engage you.
Got it.
Okay. So what I want everyone to look at my screen, right? Still focus on me, right? Think about your journey, right? If I was to ask Pete, hey, Pete, you're going to go, you need a new TV, right? Shopping for a new TV for the man cave you just built out in the garage. It's going to be killer getting ready for football season. He's not going to call Best Buy and start asking them about every TV that they have in stock. He probably won't even drive to Best Buy and look at them unless he wants to get out of the house, right? And wants to get an ice cream and then go browse TVs. Reality is he's probably going to go online. You're going to go to bestbuy.com, amazon.com. You're going to start that journey in a digital fashion. If you're buying a car, if you're looking for a mortgage, right? If you are looking to add a beneficiary, you're going to start that journey online. And most of us will start a self-service journey and start that research, right? And what we want to do and what Glia's done is defined and built our platform to run inside the digital properties and also understand what someone is doing to route them the right way. Think about the power of that. If I know that Pete is here looking to buy that vacation home where he can build that new man cave because he doesn't want to do it at his current house, watch my screen, the lower right-hand corner. We're all familiar with this engagement bubble, right? We'll talk more about that in a minute. But at the end of the day, if Pete was to go and say, I want $1 million loan, see how this bubble changed? Based on your loan amount, you qualify for a personal consultation. Companies are not doing enough to use behavior on a digital property to route someone appropriately. Glia uses our visitor detection engine to ensure that if you're doing something in a digital property, we can route you to the right support person. Think about the power of that. You don't need a complex IVR that's doing all this routing. Press 1 for sales, 2 for loans, 3 for X, Y, and Z, and you talk to someone, they got to transfer you because you wanted $1 million loan. You're going through a journey. Why are we breaking journeys for customers? We need to understand their journey and use the knowledge available to get them to the right people to resolve their issue, to sell them more product, right? To do any number of things. So Glia's digital detection engine embedded into the digital property, and we use that to make better decisions, right, and guide that customer journey and that customer experience. When I open up this bubble, right, you'll notice that we've got people in here, and this is where, again, the departure starts to happen from your traditional. Most of the time, most of these engagement bubbles are a front-ended bot that I just ignore because it's not going to help me, or I'm going to chat with someone, but it's probably going to be a poor experience. If I do need to actually talk to them, I've got to call in. I've never had a good experience with a chat, right? They're getting better. AI is helping that along, but reality is, right, you can contain a certain amount of engagements with chat and with AI, and that will always be the case, and it's getting better and better. But for more complex things, especially in the financial services vertical, you need that engagement to be able to carry that through to a real chat conversation and then move that seamlessly through various channels. So with Glia, why don't we give customers more choice, right? Here's the other big kicker, right? My 22-year-old nephew now, who's about to start his job with Deloitte up in Sacramento, I can't get him to make a phone call to me. What he'll do is he'll chat with me or text me, or he'll start a FaceTime video. Generationally, that to them is the way of communicating. My 100-year-old grandmother, yeah, she still likes a phone call, right? She's not going to do any of that stuff, even though she's got an iPhone and an iPad. But the reality is we want to give people the choice of how they want to start that journey, right? Pete could choose to have a chat with me. Fantastic. He could put his phone number in and the system will call him back and connect him with the right agent, right? Maybe we use audio, which is going to be audio over WebRTC, using your computers or mobile devices, right? Speaker and microphone, or video. But give customer choice. Let me choose how I want to start that journey and then move me along the progression if we need to. So Pete, what I'm going to have you do as my counterpart here is you're on this page. I want you to open up that engagement bubble, and then I want you to start a chat session with Greg. And I'm going to flip my hat around, you guys, and I'm going to become an agent in the contact center. Okay, this is the agent desktop. I'm at my desk, right? I've taken my calls. I just had my lunch. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. It's almost Friday. Oh, I've got an incoming chat engagement. I'm going to go ahead and accept that. I want everyone to look at my screen. The first thing you'll notice is that I can see exactly what's happening on Pete's screen right now. Let that sink in for a second. This is what we call live observation. This is the ability for an agent in the call center to have immediate context of this engagement or this interaction. Think of the power of that. I don't have to ask Pete, hi Pete, how can I help you? I could chat with him and say, hi Pete, looks like you're completing a loan application. Would you like assistance in finishing that? Wow, issue identified, right? Move to conversion and close and get that application submitted. The scenarios where context is so critical is often overlooked. I don't have to explain things. You know how hard it is to explain what I'm doing over a chat session, right? It's difficult. When we can add this level of visibility to the digital property, we've, one, not disconnected the journey from their digital experience and their self-service journey they were on. We've added context to it, connected them with an agent. So if Pete starts to chat with me, I can say, hi, Pete. Okay, how are you? We can help with your loan. And he's going to get that chat. And if he starts to chat back to me, I'm going to go ahead and see everything that he's typing. So again, I'm preloading my answers. I'm getting myself ready. Great, I'm rich, wonderful. I'm going to sell you a bunch of stuff. Now we're having this two-way engagement. We've got canned lightning messages that we can provide, right? Easily customizable by the customer. You can do attachment sending, all your typical chat stuff, right? We can have AI that's constantly learning and give preemptive responses. But this is a critical piece, right? If you on your phone in the upper left, there's a little light arrow. If you click on that and take you back to your browsing mode, and I want to just show everyone the power of this. If you scroll up and down on that web page, you're going to see it in real time, right? See, guys, how my screen is moving in real time? He doesn't even know. Pete has no idea that I have full visibility. He only does because I told him. This is some cutting edge stuff, guys. No one else is doing this. I'm going to pause there for a second. Questions on this, right? Do we think it's cool? Thumbs up if we do.
Hey, Greg, this is Kyle Whitetech. Quick question. So if Pete swings over to ESPN.com or his ESPN app, I'm assuming you lose visibility into being able to see his screen?
Correct, because we're only seeing the digital property, right? Glia is embedded in the digital property. It's a single line of JavaScript, right? Our deployments are very simple. If he opens up his photos, takes a call, we're not going to see anything on his device. It's not device level. It's digital property, either in a mobile app, right, using our mobile SDK to embed, or through either a public website where we're embedded, right? Again, single line of JavaScript, or it can be in an authenticated environment, provided there's a digital property, right? Where our platform can be deployed.
Kyle, I just switched over to a photo, and then I switched back and it picked it right back up.
Yep.
And Pete didn't have to click anything to get to this point to give you authorization to see his app?
Nope.
Okay.
It's all automatic. So it's implied consent when you're on the digital property. We have, again, customers like Capital One, Liberty Mutual, thousands of seats using Glia. Capital One, thousands of seats using Glia. Mercury Insurance, all of our 400 customers are taking advantage of this live observation. It's just an inherent part of Glia's platform. And you can imagine the rigorous testing and validation security reviews that we go through with some of those large institutions, and we go through them every single year. And this is only one piece, right? Now let's continue this journey. We're having a chat conversation, right? But now how do I help, right? We're all familiar with co-browsing, but let me offer this up. I'm going to offer a co-browsing session to Pete. He's going to get a little message that says, I would like to co-browse. Now, Pete, what are you seeing?
You're doing the scrolling, and I see a little pointer with your name on it.
Outstanding. You didn't have to, no downloads, no installs, no, go to this special website, click on this little box, give me the code. Let's get a code back and forth. Time waste, right? This is just seamless co-browsing. Think about the journey. I have immediate context because I can see. We understand now, we've talked about and confirmed what you're trying to complete or do. Wonderful. Let me do a co-browsing session. I'm going to teach you how to fish. The number of people and institutions and financial services say, if you could just help us resolve password issues for our customers, would be phenomenal, right? I was on the call yesterday with a large credit union out of Northern California, and one of the things they mentioned was they spend on average sometimes 12 minutes trying to help some of their members get their password reset. And what they don't realize is the customer has caps lock on. Caps locks calls can take 12 to 15 minutes. The ability to get visualization, teach and train, identify issues, see them start typing in their username field that it's in all caps, and like, oh, right, you got a caps issue, right? It's just mind-boggling why we're not doing more of this information sharing and teaching of people to resolve issues. FCR goes through the roof when you can embed live observation and a really seamless co-browsing solution. Okay, now again, we're having this two-way dialogue. But what if I need to have a conversation? It's $1 million loan, right? Pete's, I don't want to let him off the hook here. I want to get that application submitted. I want to get this into my pipeline so my mortgage team can start working on it. But we need to have a conversation. Instead of typing in, right, can you call 800 number, right, XYZ, and we'll help you, right? That's extremely inefficient. And I just broke the journey, and most customers will never pick that journey back up. And now you're dealing with an abandonment of an application. Terrible experience. Why don't we just seamlessly take your eyes to the upper left of my screen I'm sharing, right? He said, nah, I don't want to do that, right? Oh, I'm going to lose him then. I'm going to lose him. I've got no control to move him to another channel. Why don't we just move this to a two-way audio call? Again, omni-channel was a great term. It was used for 10, 12 years, right? We're going with channelless architecture. You started in a chat journey. Let's move you into a two-way audio engagement. Seamlessly upgrade this. Or the one I'll start because it won't give us a lot of Zoom feedback or Teams feedback is, why don't we do a video? And I'll just turn mine on, right? Now we move this conversation. Pete, are you seeing me on your screen?
Yep.
There we go. So now I just elevated this. It's a personalized experience. I moved this to a video conversation, but the power to take an online experience, understand the journey, a robust chat experience with live observation, the ability to co-browse and start working with them on issue resolution, and then elevate to audio, elevate to video. We can do deeper, right, screen sharing if we want to share an entire desktop. Maybe I've got a PDF you've got to fill out. You need to review a W-2, whatever it might be. He could turn on his video if he wanted. We would see his video come up with audio, right? And we would get some feedback, so don't do it for me, Pete. Or you can, either way. Yeah, that's cool. So you guys can hear it, right? It's trying to come through. So we would see his audio is connecting.
I can mute you.
All right, look at that. Right. Quality is super crisp, super fast to get started. This is the next evolution of CCaaS, you guys. This is where customer experience is headed. Us be able to have this engagement with your agents at complete context. We've got a panel up here we call our applet framework. We can have different size views. We can do screen pops. We can pull data from CRMs, backend systems. We've got integrations with all the top FI providers like Jack Henry, FIS, Fiserv, Q2, NCR, right? Being solely focused on the financial services vertical, we understand that space. We understand if you're talking to a large banking institution, they're going to say, what's your integration like to my core for screen pops? So I can get customer information presented, right, to an agent. Fantastic, right? How do you help with my collections efficiency? Which is a huge topic right now. I've done 3 meetings this week alone with one of my partners and Glia prospects, where they're really trying to streamline collections efficiency because recovery rates are down, right? But delinquencies are skyrocketing because of spending during the pandemic, right? It's a cycle that we're going to go through for probably another couple of years. I attended a conference back in February in Vegas that was strictly around recovery and collections, and it was amazing to hear some of those values. So, and then, right, also you can see on my screen, Matt gave me some coaching. Oh, Matt Metzger, who's my manager, he said, Greg, don't talk about that. So now we've got coaching built in. You've got all your typical tools that you would need to engage and manage your staff in the contact center. We can fully embed scripting, right? You've got your call scripts, knowledge bases. We've got Teams integration, Salesforce integration. And at the end of every engagement, we pop a survey. So as the engagement finishes, this is where you can customize the survey, collect that data. Was this call resolved, right? Use your dispositions, just like any other platform out there. You can see we've got a ton of back-end reporting, analysis, analytics on every single engagement. We've got robust reporting. I can see my agent statistics, right? I've got real-time dashboards, service levels, all the way down to deep insights. And this is where I'll end it, is going into and looking something like, right, what are these types of reporting dashboards? We're completely built on AWS. This is used leveraging AWS Insights. And as a manager or supervisor, again, guys, I started out as an agent in a call center, ran to, eventually ended up opening contact centers and BPO centers. This kind of data is critical to managing an operation of a contact center. And it's just native in Glia. All the setup and administration is done right within the platform. Your queues, AI management. Maybe I want to add a new engine. Look at how easy this is. You want to bring your own bot to the table? Great, right? You want to bring Google Dialogflow? Fantastic. Your customer enters the appropriate parameters, and now you're plugging in a bot. So how do we make things easy? How do we make it more efficient and effective for that customer experience? Okay, I'm going to shut up now. I gave you guys the 30-minute pitch-ish, that high-level demo. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear questions. And yeah, we are here for you.
Fantastic. Great. Questions, guys?
Hey, Greg, at the beginning, when you were on the website, you were able to click like a let's chat or let's engage, showed a list of people. Yep. You had mentioned, I think you highlighted Greg, and then you had an option to engage the way you want to engage. If they click phone call and they enter in their phone number, are they getting a call from Greg, or are they getting a call from just agent in queue?
No, they're getting a call from Greg in that scenario. If you have it set up to be queues, right? The way my demo environment is set up, it's individuals at Glia, right? Because we're doing these demos. Generally, you would have your customer service queue, a billing queue, and then it would push you into queue if you wanted a phone call and connect you with an available agent. If you've got someone who's doing multi-chat, maybe you've got someone who's doing multi-chat, maybe you don't want them queued for phone, right? Maybe you don't want them queued for video. You've got all the parameters you can set up to segment your team, to set your queues, your splits, your skills, all that stuff. Tyler, that answer your question?
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's like collections or like a, more of a broad request, then it could go in queue. But if it's a more specialized, or maybe I'm like trying to, open up $1 million loan, that's probably going to be coming from Greg directly.
Correct. Yep. We may just then show you, right, because you've chosen to do $1 million loan, we're going to show you some people you can connect with and send them their pictures, right? You click on one of the loan servicing executives, and now you're getting a direct connection.
And Tyler, for that question as well. So if you're talking to Greg about that loan, or you started chatting with him this morning, and then a couple hours later, you call back into just the main number, we have a feature called Agent Affinity. We'll connect you back to Greg because the system knows you talked to him or chatted with him 2 hours ago. So we'll always connect you back to that same agent as long as the agent's available, obviously.
Yep.
Okay.
And nice. We maintain all the history, right? If Pete was to start another engagement with me right now, I would see our chat history of the engagement we just had. So it's all stays persistent in the environment and is presented to the agent every time that same recognized customer comes back in.
Correct.
Hey, Greg. Go ahead.
Whoever that was should speak up.
Yeah, sorry, it was me. I might have missed it, but like, how does it work with the, presumably the financial institution, banking, they've got their own CRMs. They're pretty, usually baked with those types of things. So are you sitting in front of, behind, or like how are you sort of working with the CRM system when the client brings it?
Yeah, that depends, right? So depending on the CRM system, if they've got, financial institutions will generally have a core, right? Their core platform. Then they'll have systems like Meridian Link for loan origination, Temenos for collections. Again, we're the customer service platform, and then it's connecting and pulling data from either a core system or a third-party banking system. If they have a CRM in place and they want to facilitate a screen pop, great, right? We've got an open API framework. We have created, right, I don't know how many dozens of out-of-the-box connectors for the most popular financial services platforms in the market. It's just a matter of saying, where do you want data to be pulled from? What unique identifier can we map to pull back information? And it can be in a pull and a push scenario where data can be posted back to, right, through an export function. We can post records back to a CRM or whatever their CRM of choice is. Michelle, does that answer?
Yeah, it does. I think I was more interested in, can you post back with, is that an easy,
Yeah, so like Michelle, for Salesforce, if I'm working with the Salesforce and that applet architecture at the top, I can actually, so say the customer's calling to update their address, I can actually in our hub screen type in their new address and it will update Salesforce. Any notes, any wrap-up codes, the survey, even the audio recording would all be posted then to their Salesforce contact. So yes, we can update the record right from our screen.
Thank you.
Hey, Greg. Hey, Greg, this is Tim Reese from D&M. Before I joined the channel and doing what I do now, I was actually in corporate IT, funny enough, in financial services for over 20 years, most of that in mortgages. So I can definitely confirm that the issues that you brought up and the problems that you're trying to solve that you talked about today are absolutely the problems that these companies are having. And I love a little feedback. I love how you guys are solving a lot of these problems. I think that when you talk about this and talk about how it helps the clients that you currently have, you're spot on. But you started by saying that you're focused on financials and you're really looking at that vertical. Is that because you want to have customers where you really truly understand their business and their pain points? Or is it more technical that you have these connections, I think you called them, these integrations to these different systems? You have pre-built forms, pre-built stuff that really what you have focused on is the financial industry, or is it a little bit of a combination of both?
It's a combination of both, Tim. And I think there's one more component there. So it's definitely a combination of both. We know that vertical is also, right, what I would add to that is also heavy users of digital properties. When you think about all the different verticals out there, one of the ones that we think most people engage with on a consistent basis is their financial institution. So when you think about the digital journey touches us in the FI space, in my opinion, so much more than a lot of other verticals would. I'm not going into my healthcare app every single day. I may go in there once a month, once a week, once every quarter to check a lab result, to make an appointment with my doctor. I'm going into my banking, right, app every single day to check my finances. So heavy users of digital properties. We wanted to ensure that we understood the journey and the customer experience in the FI space. And we know that has a massive TAM, generally is not one that's going to see as dramatic of an impact from global economic impact or global economic downturns, but it will see big benefits from upswing. So it was a very strategic thought to say, let's go focus on this vertical and it was also one that historically hasn't moved as fast from technology adoption. When you talk to a lot of FI companies, and Tim, you may be able to back this statement up, they're still using, in a lot of cases, legacy green screen. Right? I was working with Chicago Mercantile Exchange years ago and doing a project there. A lot of their stuff was still legacy green screen technology. So adverse to change, right? Starting to get better, plus the digital usage, plus we wanted to understand and specialize. All those things really went into our decision.
Yeah, and that's fair, and I can back you up on that. I mean, if you're on this call and you have a mortgage, there's a 67% chance that your mortgage is on a platform created by this company called Black Knight, and it's green screen. It's absolutely green screen. And so, it's weird to think that at least 67% of mortgages in this country are on green screen. A quick follow-up question, then I'll stop monopolizing the call. You do have these connections, you do have these forms pre-built, things you can do. What's the level of customization that you have to go through when you go into a new organization and try to get this up and running?
Yeah, it's a great question. And our typical deployment is 4 to 6 weeks, right? Depending on size of institution. Most of that is scoping and validating the use case that we're deploying into, ensuring we understand their digital properties, right, where the connections are going to be made. Your typical deployment for mid-size, right, SMB, when we do everything based on assets under management, and we can have a follow-on call to talk more about ICP, target fits, et cetera. It's really based on the size. Your larger institutions are going to take, anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on the number of use cases being deployed. But it's not a heavy lift. This is not an extensive customization or services heavy deployment. Glia is not a services organization. We're in the business of selling software, right? We want to sell software, and we have streamlined white glove service. I know, right? Five9 uses that term, but we do too. It's everyone gets a CSM, right? We have some TAM packages, but it's not a services heavy deployment. And we are not trying to be a services organization. We want as much out of the box ready to deploy as soon as possible. We want to get to revenue quick.
Thank you. Thank you. Very compelling stuff.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate your feedback.
I have a very quick question. So a couple of years ago when Matt, you and I and Nate spoke, Nate Meeks, I didn't have a vehicle to position your product anywhere, although I had a lot of targets that could have definitely had that conversation. Now that we got CX Effect as our vehicle, how do we engage with you? Is it regionally? Is it, how do I find out if some of those people already are using you? What's the process there?
Yeah, I can take that, or Matt, and Matt, you can add some more color. So Pete, what we would say is right now, we're still through our onboarding with CX Effect. What I would recommend is if you have a target base, if you have some accounts that you want to map, I'm happy to get on the phone with CX Effect, with just you, with me and you and Matt. Let's do it. Right? I'm open and transparent. One thing you guys will find out about me and working with me is I probably tell more than I need to. I'm super transparent. Let's look up the records in Salesforce and say, hey, this is an account that's already locked, or this one is ready to be registered. Let's have that open dialogue and see where there's a fit. If you've got targets, to me, transparency and open sharing is the best policy. I don't want any surprises for anybody. So yeah, that would be my recommendation is let's have a dialogue. Matt or myself will make ourselves available, and we can get you register with opportunities that are available through CX Effect and then get introductions going.
Perfect.
It's awesome. Guys, I know it's the top of the hour. Greg, great job. Really appreciate you being on the team as well. Good to meet you guys. One closing note for you. Glia will be at Sundance in December. So you're going to be able to hang out with them, go a lot deeper on their tech, hear their stories. We're really fired up about them being in the ecosystem. One other quick note that I'm not sure was or was not mentioned. When we talk about financial services with Glia, it's a bit of a broader definition than just kind of, if you think, banking, regional banking, credit unions, that's all very applicable, but it's also insurance. It's also lending, right? So it is definitely a broader definition for financial services. We have a ton of prospective clients in that broader category. But really fired up, guys. Let's go close some business with Glia. Guys, welcome to the CX Effect ecosystem. Can't wait to build this with you.
Great.
Thank you, Andrew, and CX team. And thank you, everyone, for joining today and listening to me ramble.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Outstanding. Thanks, everyone. I want to come. Good selling.